What's up, guys? So today's video is about Escape from Tarkov. Some of you are thinking, I just downloaded the game, I've never played it before, or maybe you've played it a little bit. You need some pointers, you need some tips. This is how to play Escape from Tarkov, what to do in the first 10 minutes to an hour of the game, and how to set yourself up for success. Let's check it out. All right, so this is the main menu. We just had the 12.11 patch, which included a wipe. So we're going to go in and we're going to look at this from the perspective of, I've never played before. How do I get started? How do I get going, the best? And we're going to cover a few things. This is the character screen. So this is my PMC. If I click overall, this is my guy. So this is all the experience that he can get, all of his stats. This gear right here, we're going to talk about this. So obviously you have like an earpiece, headwear, a face cover, body armor, eyewear. This is your primary gun. It says on sling, hotkey to 2. This is the gun that's on your back. This is your sidearm. And then you have a tactical rig, pockets, and a backpack. This secure container is called a Gamma. I have the Edge of Darkness edition, which is sort of the highest tier, which means I'm going to start with maybe a few more things than some of the lower editions. The lowest edition, this pouch right here, your secure container, is an alpha, which is just a 2x2. And you may not have all the same stuff in your stash, but I'm going to kind of cover what all this stuff is, what it means, and what it's used for. Body armor is pretty straightforward. If you inspect this, this isn't great body armor. It's armor class 2. Kind of talks about how it affects you negatively in terms of movement. Talks, armor points, armor class, but this is going to help on certain areas like your thorax and your stomach. If you get hit with a bullet, obviously this armor is going to help mitigate that damage. Okay, now we've got an earpiece here. Earpieces will help you, like headsets. They'll help you hear things better. Different headsets have a little bit different sound profile, so try out different ones and see which ones you like the best. We've got headwear here. He's currently wearing a hat. Unless you just feel like being super ballsy, I would never wear a hat. This is where the helmet goes. So we're going to put that down. And starting off, we have, it looks like a couple options for helmets. You can inspect these, kind of see what their stats are. The TC 2002 is an armor class 4 with a high ricochet chance. The Untar helmet is armor class 3 with a high ricochet chance. Either of these are good. Ricochet chance means if a bullet hits it, what are the chances it's going to bounce off? So pick one of these. The blue one is going to show up. It's going to be a little bit more visible, but I think it's better than not having a helmet. So we want a helmet. We want armor. We want our earpiece. We want a gun. The face covering is going to help you. You don't want to give a bad guy a big white target, right? So if I put this face covering on, it's at least going to help not give him sort of the subconscious nice target of seeing my whole face. So I always wear a face covering for that reason. All right, so now that we have everything set up, well, we've got a tactical rig. Let's go over this too, and armored rigs. This is another piece of armor. This is much better than the P.A.C.A. This is armor class 4. It only protects the thorax, but this is a much better piece of armor. All right, let me show you this. So we also have what are called armored tac rigs, which is this AVS. So this AVS is a tactical rig that includes armor. Nope. Okay, so this is armor class 4. It protects thorax and stomach. It's pretty heavy, so you can see the change movement speed and erg and all that stuff. But armored tac rigs can be nice because you don't have to equip a tac rig and armor. So anyways, that's not a bad one. We're going to put that back. So let's go over all the stuff in the stash, kind of what this means and what you need. So we've got some armor here. We've got a couple of tac rigs here. We've got some pistols with mags. That's extra ammo. The whiskey is not needed really for anything. You can sell this. You can sell this to therapists. It's what I always do. It's not, just look. It isn't a good thing to take with you in a raid, even though it's a consumable. I just sell it. We've got money here. You can stack money up to 500,000 in each stack, so we can consolidate space there a little bit. Headsets. We've got a couple extra backpacks. Guns, shotgun. These are stun grenades. Mags for you know, an HK or an 8R or an M4. We've got some crappy M4 ammo, some buckshot. We've got an M700 with a scope. What do we got? More mags. We've got a melee weapon. We've got a little EOTech sight. Some real face coverings. Put that on there. Food and water. A lot of people don't realize, like, why would you need food and water in a raid? Well, this right here, energy, is food. Food throws that up. Food increases that. This right here with the water droplet is water. So during a raid, like when you're running around, especially if you get hurt and you have to do surgery, like that'll decrease your water quite a bit. If you use painkillers, that'll decrease your water. So in every raid, you want to bring water and food, a snack of some type. So that's what these are. That's what Tashanka is. You can see the stats. This will increase energy by 50. The water will increase hydration by 60. So all these different food items have, you know, they've got stats like that. So you always make sure you bring food and water. I generally keep mine in my backpack because they're not something that I need to have access to quickly. All right, so medical items. This is where a lot of people get confused. It's kind of a lot to take in. This is what happens with medical items. You've got all this HP on your body. This is your total HP. If you get shot, you have a chance to get a broken arm or leg, a fracture. You have a chance to get a light bleed, which decreases HP overall slowly. You have a chance to get a heavy bleed, which is going to decrease HP overall like fairly quickly, to where with a heavy bleed, you might bleed out in a minute or 90 seconds. Like it's a heavy bleed. You can have a blacked out. So when this HP goes to 0, that arm will become blacked out. So what do we do about that? All right. So what we want to make sure we bring in every raid is something to heal HP. Okay, this is 100, so this is called a cheese. All this does is heal HP. It doesn't do anything else. I would want to have at least 200 or 300 HP worth of healing. You can see this has 100. Okay, so 200 or 300 per raid. Just to make sure if I get real banged up, I can, you know, I can fix myself. I want to make sure that I can stop a light bleed. A bandage does that. These do the same thing. This just has 2 uses and the same amount of space it takes up. It's an army bandage. Painkillers are going to remove pain. So if you have a broken leg or something, if you're hurt and you use a painkiller, you're not going to cough. You're going to be able to run on a broken leg, things like that. So those, you want to have painkillers in every raid. And a splint is going to fix a fracture. A splint is going to do the same thing as an aluminum splint. Let me move that a little bit. So these two do the same thing. The aluminum splint just has 5 uses, so it could heal 5 fractures. Whereas this regular splint, you can only use it once. And you also really want to make sure you have something to stop a heavy bleed. An S mark will stop a heavy bleed, and a hemostat will stop a heavy bleed. These two do the same thing. The S mark has 1 use, and the hemostat has 3 uses. So either one of those. But these are the things you want to make sure you have in every raid. Well, I'll tell you that I, a lot of times, will not bring a splint. Probably early on before I have access to a serve kit. I probably would. Because we haven't gone over the CMS, which I would keep in my Gamma and my secure container. A CMS will fix a limb if it gets blacked out. So if my leg goes to 0 out of 65 HP, I can't just use cheese on that limb. I have to actually do surgery first to put it back to 1 HP, and then I can heal the HP with my cheese or with something else. So I want to bring the CMS. Now a CMS cannot fix, at least I don't think this one will do fractures. So a serve kit, a serve 12 kit will actually do fractures. So I would make sure I had early wipe like this. I would make sure that I had a splint. So I've given you kind of an overview of what the medical supplies do. So let me kind of look at what the rest of our medical supplies in the stash will do, and you can kind of figure out how you want to combo these. But every single raid, you want to make sure you have enough medical supplies to fix yourself. A car is just like the cheese, only it's 220 HP healing power. This will also fix a light bleed. So, for example, if I brought the car, I've gained extra HP over 2 cheeses, right? I got an extra 20, and it fixes a light bleed. So technically, I wouldn't need the bandage because the bandage is light bleed. So I could do that, right? So I could put these cheeses back. I've saved a little bit of space now by bringing the car. Next, we've got an IFAK. So an IFAK has 300 HP out of a single slot. It stops light bleeding, and it stops a heavy bleed. But you can see when you use this to stop a heavy bleed, it's going to use 210 HP. So because heavy bleeds take so much HP out of medical items like this, I will always bring something to stop a heavy bleed, partly because it's quicker too. So there's your IFAK. You have a lot of HP in only one slot. You also have a Saliwa, which does the same thing. It stops a heavy bleed with only 175 HP, stops light bleeding. So both of these will stop both bleeds. Right? Now you've got a Grizzly as well. That's one of the other things we have. A Grizzly takes up 4 slots. It has 1800 HP, and it fixes everything except for like a blacked out limb. So it'll stop a heavy bleed, it'll stop a light bleed, it'll remove fractures. So this will fix, you don't need a splint. Contusion, which I don't know that I've ever actually used it for that, but I suppose you could. A lot of people, what they'll do is they'll bring a Grizzly, and they'll put their Grizzly in their CMS, in their Gamma, or in their Secure, if you have a big enough one, because this Grizzly will do everything. Now, here's the downside as you're figuring this out on your own. The downside is this use time is 5 seconds, which I believe they may have just lowered that from 7. But 5 seconds is kind of a long time if you're in the middle of a fight. So even if I have a Grizzly, I'm still going to bring a hemostat, which is a little bit quicker. I'm still going to bring a splint. Well, the splint's the same time. They did lower this with the new patch, the use time for a Grizzly. But anyways, you just have to understand that you've got to be prepared to heal all of these things when you get into a battle, right? That's the whole point, is being prepared for a raid. Now, the other thing I've been doing, you may have picked up on with the medical items specifically, is I always use hotkeys. You can see down here 4 through 0. I would strongly suggest getting in the habit of using the same keys for the same type of heals. For example, I always heal or I always hotkey my painkillers to 4. I always hotkey whatever it is that's going to heal me up, my HP to 5. Heavy bleeds, I always hotkey to 6. And fractures, I always hotkey to 7. Now, if I run a stem, an injectable, like a prop. So a prop is an injectable. It takes 2 seconds to use. And it's basically going to help your body regenerate health. So you use this, and over the course of 5, is that 5 minutes? 300 seconds? Yeah, 5 minutes. Over the course of 5 minutes, you're going to slowly just increase your health. So if I bring a prop, I'm going to hotkey that to 9. And generally, I'll use 8 for like any bonus injectable. Sometimes I run an SJ6 at the start of a raid. I'll usually hotkey that to 8. But so I'm in the habit in a raid where I know if I need pain, if I need to heal, if I want to rock a prop, I already know what hotkey that is. Even if it's a different item. So let's say I don't take painkillers. Let's say instead I take a morphine, which does what painkillers do for longer, and it's quicker to use, I believe. I'll hotkey that to 4. If I didn't bring a splint and instead I brought an aluminum splint, that's still going to be hotkeyed to 7. Same thing with the hemo. You get the idea. So it's muscle memory of anytime I need something, I know what hotkey I'm going to go to. So you have all these medical supplies, and that's how you need to navigate this. That's what you want to think about before each raid. Can I stop a heavy bleed? Do I have something to heal my HP? Do I have painkillers? You gotta have painkillers, every one. And do I have something to fix a fracture? If I bring a grizzly, that's fine, but sometimes it's gonna take a little bit longer depending on the situation. All right, there's your quick rundown on your medical supplies. Let's talk about guns. I've got an M4 right here. I've got 4 mags, counting the one that's in the gun. Now, depending on the map, I probably don't need 4 mags total. A lot of times, let's say, for example, if I was playing a map like Customs, which you play a lot early on, I'm probably bringing, depending on the size of the mag, 2 or 3 mags. Just because I know extended gunfights, there aren't any raiders, the bosses aren't super difficult, Reshala, so I just don't need that firepower. I do want to make sure I bring extra ammo. So what I don't want to do is use all my mags and go like, oh, look at all this ammo I have. Why waste a mag? If I die, I lose all those mags. So here's what I want to do with that. So I've got these extra 2 mags. I'm going to take the ammo out and I'm going to stack it up. I can right click. This is an easy way to load mags based on if you can't find the ammo in your stash. Just right click it, go to load ammo. And if I had more than one type of ammo, all the types that'll fit in that mag will show up. So I can load both of those. And then I can unload them, stack them again, and do the same thing. So for a map like Customs, this is probably about what I would run. A lot of times I'll put extra stacks of ammo in my secure. So now I've got 90 rounds plus 120 plus another 60. So that's probably good. So that's also saving space. I've got 120 rounds of ammo in 2 slots, which you can see right here. Normally with a mag, that 2 slots is only going to hold 30 rounds. So you shoot through 1 mag, and then when you get a second, you just manually reload. It'll just look like this. You'll be in the game, you'll have an empty mag, you'll drag this ammo up. It won't do it instantly in the game. You'll actually sort of individually load it, but that's what that looks like. So make sure you don't bring just all your mags with you. Same thing if I wanted to bring a sidearm, which can be really effective early on, early wipe. So with a sidearm, same thing. I'm probably 1 or 2 mags extra. And then this is the PST GZH ammo. So I've got a nice, I'd probably bring like an extra 50. So this is probably about what I would run. Now I probably won't bring a sidearm. Sometimes I'll just run with only a sidearm and no like primary. But something like this. We're ready for our first run. Let's look at our dude. Okay, he looks sick. Looks like a scav, really. Kind of. So we're good to go. Now, we didn't talk about grenades. I would recommend bringing at least 1 grenade in every raid you go into. They can be really helpful. If you're fighting a boss, even if you're fighting scavs. I mean, if you have them, you might as well give yourself the opportunity to be successful in these. Always bring one. If I run out, I just go buy them from vendors or whatever, but they're super handy. So that's basically everything that we have in our stash. Fuel, you don't need yet. If you've got a version of the game that includes this, you don't need this yet, but it's really valuable, so hold on to it. I'm probably going to sell this stuff because it's not used for crafting till later on in the hideout, and I generally don't craft stuff with this anyways. We've got all our medical items. We've got food. We've got all our extra attack rigs. Sunglasses can be a good one. Sometimes these glasses will actually help against flashbangs. See, like these, eyes protection against flashbang, 10%. So a flashbang is 10% less effective. Okay. But we've really covered all the stuff. That's what it looks like in here. All right. Next thing we're going to talk about here is the hideout. The hideout is super, super important because the hideout is what's going to allow you to do more stuff, to craft more stuff, to make more money, and to heal your character quicker, to get their energy regeneration. I mean, the hideout just helps with everything so much. And actually, before we do hideout, let me back up a little bit. We're gonna go to our vendors. This is what this is: trading. Main menu. We just go trading. Here's the vendors. You're gonna have quests that are available from Prapper and Therapist. So I'm gonna go to quest, debut, and I want to click accept here. You can accept as many quests. There's no limit to how many you can have active, and really no punishment. There's no downside. So you just always want to periodically check and accept. All right. So this quest is kill 5 scavs at customs, hand over 2 MP133 shotguns, and this is what you're going to get as a result. Okay, great. Let's go check therapist. Shortage. I'm going to hit accept. Find in raid or craft in hideout 3 Salewa kits. Hand over those kits to therapist. Here's what you're going to get in return. Okay, those are the only 2 quests you can get early on. First up, Prapper and Therapist. Once you get a couple of these done, I think Skier gives you 1, and you sort of slowly progress. All right, let's go back to the hideout now that we have our quests. Now, one of the things you can do is that quest that said hand over, found in raid, or craft 3 Salewas. You can do that from your medical station. Okay, you can do that from your medical station. So what I want to do is, this says that I need 50,000 rubles, I need a syringe, and I need a pile of meds in order to craft that. What it doesn't tell you is that you're also going to need your generator. So we're going to go through and we're going to see what we can, just what we can do. This illumination is only 10,000. We're going to construct that. It's done instantly. It looks like vents, 25,000. We're going to construct it. You just want to do as much of this stuff in your hideout as you can, because progressing through the hideout is super, super helpful. Let's see. What did we unlock? Let's see. Heating. I need 2 matches plus 25,000. These are all things you want to be on the lookout for when you do a scav run, when you do a PMC run. I need a roll of duct tape. So matches and duct tape right now. Med station is syringes, pile of meds. They've changed some of this stuff with this patch to make it a little bit harder. I click level 2 right here. I have to have a generator. This is what this means. I've got to have a generator before I can do level 2 illumination. And I've got to have bulbs and wires. Let's see what the generator is. Generator's not even showing up yet. Workbench, security. So this, I need a measuring tape. Anyway, so you go around and you check all this stuff out. Now with the last wipe, you could actually build the med station. You could have the med station built and actually start crafting Salewas. One of the things they don't explicitly tell you is anything you craft in your hideout will have the found in raid status. So you're going to have a lot of quests in this game where it's going to say find in raid, like a gun or attack rig or a food item or whatever. And a big chunk of those you can actually craft in your hideout if you look for it. So all we're going to do now when we start running raids is looking for these items that we need to upgrade things in our hideout, because that's going to be super helpful. The Salewas specifically are harder to find, so we want to try to get this built as quick as we can. So as soon as we find a syringe and a pile of meds, I don't think you can buy either of those. Nope. Might be able to buy a syringe. I'm not sure. Nope. So you can barter for a pile of meds if I get these items. All right, so that's the hideout. So the short answer is, guys, you want to make sure that you check your hideout and you want to keep at least a mental tally of what are the things I need to upgrade stuff in my hideout. And that's one of the things you're going to focus on, is finding some of those things and upgrading them. Going in and saying, okay, what do I need for level 2? Got to inspect this stuff. I need to have a car battery, a motor, and 3 CPU fans. So that's what you keep an eye out for. So that's a lot of it so far. We got a couple more things to cover. One of the things you can do to help level up is go to all of the vendors. This hotkey, you can right click, inspect. I'm sorry, it was examine. It'll examine. I also have it hotkeyed, and I think default is center mouse wheel. We'll just go ahead and examine that. If you look in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, every time I examine something, I'm getting experience points. 10, 4, 10, 2, so different degrees of experience. But I'm going to go through and just do all of these. One of the reasons is you get free XP. You can level your character up without ever going into a raid. It's also helpful for a lot of reasons later on. You just need to have items examined. If you want to mod a gun later on, you just want to examine all this stuff. Go through all the vendors and examine all the stuff. One of the guys you can go to is Fence. Fence gets a new batch of stuff like every few seconds. And so he's actually going to have limited numbers of items. And so I can go through and check. If I examine some of these, you'll see it refresh here shortly. And I'll have like new, yeah, like just new items show up. So anyways, you want to do that. All right, let's talk about setting up for a raid. Now, my character is ready to rock. I've got all the stuff. We did that. Now let's go. Escape from Tarkov is actually going to take you into a raid. So I'm going to click Escape from Tarkov. You're going to have two options. PMC, this is the guy. This is the hideout. This is the stash. This is the medical supplies that I put on. It's that guy. If I go in as this guy, I level up that guy. And if I die, I lose all that stuff. Whatever I bring out, I get to keep. This is a scav. A scav is like just those AI enemies that are out in the run. You're just going to take over one of those bodies, spawn in at a random time in the raid. If you die, you don't lose anything because this stuff isn't yours. It's just a randomly generated loadout you get for free. If you get out, you get to keep everything, though. That's the nice thing. Scavs generally have a cooldown when you start off of like 20 minutes. So when you get out of a scav run, you got to wait another 20 minutes before you can do that again. So let's go to PMC, your main character. I get to pick a map. Okay, you're going to have a lot of early quests. Really, throughout the game, you're going to have a lot of quests here at Customs. It says select time phase. This is military time. All right, so 0842 is going to be your day raid. And 2042 is going to be your night raid. Basically, everywhere has that. Factory is the only one that has static time. For some reason, we have no idea. But you can see reserve, day and night, same time. Weather conditions, it's just cloudy. All right, so we would go pick the day one. We're gonna go next. You're always gonna hit next, never hit ready. Always hit next. This is just if you want to practice. Basically, this is enable offline raid, offline mode for this raid. Once I click this, I'm gonna be going in. It's just gonna be practice. I still get to play the level. I'm not gonna, if I die for whatever reason, I'm not gonna lose any of the stuff. I don't get any experience. It's just really practice. I can randomize weather conditions, randomize time, enable PvE. So scavs will spawn if I have this. I can enable bosses. Tagged and cursed means they're gonna be aggroed on me super hard. Scav war, I think, means there's every boss. I've actually never done that. We're not gonna do that. All right, enable offline. Okay, so we're gonna go next. Now, this is insurance. Insurance is super, super important, guys. Doesn't matter if it's a good item, if it's not a good item. I'm going to go through and click on everything except for whatever is in here. And you can see all the stuff that's highlighted is going to be insured. It's going to cost me $27,000 to do this. It says, are you sure? Yes. Here's what insurance means. If I die in a raid and any of my stuff that's insured is left on the map when the timer hits 0, I'm going to get that back in 24 to 36 hours, real time. If anyone, another player or another scav, picks this up, let's say he gets my helmet, and successfully extracts that map without dying, and he has my stuff, I don't get it back. But if someone picks it up, if someone loots me, and then they die before they get to extract, if any of this stuff stays on the map when the timer hits 0, I get it back. So I always insure basically everything. Okay, so we'll go next. And here's your lobby. If you're playing with anyone else, this is where you want to invite your friends. You can do, you know, a looking for group. Generally, you're just going to be running solo, or you're going to be playing with one of your friends, and all that stuff's going to show up like right here. So once I hit ready, it's going to throw me into the game. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful. Tarkov is a really fun game. It can be really overwhelming at first, especially if you don't have some good tips, maybe some more experienced people to play with. If you'd like more information, or if you want to have more conversations about Tarkov, about how to get better at the game, feel free to drop by my Discord. The link is in the description. We're playing Tarkov currently, streaming 9 p.m. Central, Monday through Friday on Facebook. Feel free to check me out. And if you want to make sure that you see new content on YouTube anytime it drops, feel free to hit a subscription. Hit the subscription button down below, and you'll get a notification every time we drop new stuff. Guys, thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next time.